Welcome back to LittleLee and Rose. My name is Summer Noel, and today we're going to do a beautiful sensory storyboard tumbler. Now, if you're part of my Facebook group, we have been doing these on a lot of lives lately. You guys have been loving this cup. It just kind of came to me. We were doing bottles originally to donate to schools and to donate to care centers. And the sensory works so beautifully. I use them for my kids for time out. And I just had this kind of like aha moment where it's like, these would be beautiful as cups. So I've taken the storyboard cup and I've kind of turned it into a sensory storyboard cup. And I'm going to show you the quick, easy way to get a nice seal that does not leak and turns this into a beautiful, beautiful stunning cup. You can probably hear a lot of motors going on. We've got a lot of epoxy mixing. I've got already 5 other tutorials going at this time. I'm wearing my chemical mask already. As you can see, we have our epoxy mixed up. I've got my nitrile gloves all ready to go. So let's just jump right in. So we've got the 3 parts of our storyboard cup. They come in 3 parts. When they ship, they show up all as one. So it will come and it will look like this. So what you're going to want to do is unscrew the bottom, take this plastic part off, and for now we're going to work with the seal part. Have a baby wipe ready to clean up, and you're going to mix a little bit of epoxy. So this is epoxy mixed part A and B. You want to make sure it's an FDA compliant epoxy. This can be purchased at Hobby Lobby, Michael's. We have a molding epoxy on our website. You can buy this online. We have it in our Amazon store as well. This is part A and B already mixed. I've got it going in my special mixer here next to me, and I'm going to go ahead and just drop some of this down to the moat in some different little areas. I'm not going to worry about it kind of getting on the cup. We're going to clean that up with that's what we have the baby fight for. We're just dropping this down into the moat around the cup. All right, so here we go. We're just a little here, a little there, little dab, little dab. Again, I'm not worried about a mess. We will clean that all off with a baby wipe. You can use a pipette to get it down in there as well if you have one and you want to avoid the mess. I'm used to it. I have triplets, so my life is always messy. I have triplet 3-year-olds, so life is already messy. So I'm used to cleaning up, and we always have baby wipes. So I'm just putting this down the moat. You don't want to overfill it. That's why I'm not putting it all the way around. I'm just putting dabs of it. All right, so now we've got that. I'm going to set that off to the side. That's extra. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to now take a baby wipe and clean that edge. Just like I was saying, we're going to clean that edge nice and clean. Take another section of baby wipe that doesn't have any on it. And if you've got any epoxy, up on this part, you want to wipe that off now with the baby wipe as well. So that we're just going to go around and do one little swoop. It doesn't look like I got any on there, but we're going to do that just in case. Clean off my surface. Another baby wipe. Clean off my surface. Baby wipes work wonders. So now we've got that down in there, and now we're going to take a toothpick, and I'm just going to make sure to work that epoxy, and now we're going to make it all the way around, and make sure that there's epoxy throughout the entire moat, around the outside seal of this storyboard tumbler. Okay? So now I can see very well that there is a good amount of epoxy going throughout this outside edge of the storyboard. Okay. Perfect. Throw that away. Now I'm going to take the plastic part of our tumbler and I am going to work it down on there. I'm going to press it on and I'm going to screw the bottom back on. Now what's going to happen here is this is how I get that perfect seal with no leaking. You can see a little bit of epoxy squished out there. This is how, now I will leave this for 72 hours, just like this. I will not turn it over, I will not bend it, I will not tip it. I will set it on a counter, set aside for 3 days. It takes epoxy 72 hours to fully cure. Some bottles may say cures in 8 to 12 hours. That's to a hard cure, but that is not to a full cure. That is just to a cure to the like a hard to the touch, but it does not. I have not found an epoxy that cures completely where it's not doing any more chemical process for 72 hours. So I leave epoxies 72 hours. That's the way it makes sure you get absolutely no leak in the seal. So we're going to set this cup off to the side for 72 hours, and we will be right back. Well, in 3 days, we'll be back, and we'll start on the next step. All right, we are back. I'm going to show you guys. This has now been setting for probably more like 4 days. You can unscrew the bottom. You can see that that top does not separate from that bottom at all. That epoxy has now sealed down to the plastic very, very well. And now we're going to add our glitter and our dyes. When you're working with this, you want to use actual epoxy ink or dyes. You can use food coloring or epoxy inks. You cannot use alcohol inks. Alcohol inks will clump in your water. So you want to actually use dyes. So food coloring or epoxy dyes. I'll link all the stuff below. But if you have food coloring in your house and you want to use red, blue, green, yellow, that's easy peasy. Do that. If you want all the fun colors, this is called peach red. It's going to be kind of like a fuchsia color. You could certainly use that. I will link that underneath the tutorial. We're going to go with this is Beauregard and one of our custom glitters that we had in our subscription box for LittleLee and Rose. I'm going to mix it up into the water, and then we're going to add the dye. I have a pipette ready in case I need to remove some water. Generally, these take about 3 of these little cups full. I generally just mix water, dump it in, go for it, and then I suck out what I don't need and just add as I go. I kind of do a little play on it here, a little here, a little there. So we're going to add a few drops of our ink. I can always add more. It looks pretty good. And we're going to go ahead and pour. So we want to bring this up to literally as high as we can go without it spilling and actually coming up onto this rim. So we want to pour this relatively full. And we want to stir it up real good so all that glitter goes right on in. It looks like we're going to actually need a little bit more water. Which is okay because there's still a little glitter left in there. So let me pour just a tad bit more water. I actually want to add just a touch more of the pink. So we'll add 2 more drops. Oops, sorry, that was off camera. We added 2 more drops to our cup. We're going to swirl around. We're going to try to grab the rest of that glitter as we pour it in. And you can see it's just about to overflow. So we're going to take our pipette. I'm going to squeeze out. I'm going to squeeze the bulb down and then stick that in there and squeeze just a touch of that water out. Just like that. And I want to do just a touch more. Just like that. Perfect. Okay. We're going to tap it just a little bit to see how we go with the color. I'm thinking we want a few more drops of the ink because it's still pretty light pink. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We're just going to go with that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take our epoxy. I'm going to pour some epoxy in a little cup. Just a little bit. I had it going in my mixer off here to the left. And we're going to take this epoxy and we're just going to just very gently go along the outside edge here. So if you need to watch any of those steps, just go ahead and stop the video, rewind it, and rewatch. Once I get started, I kind of have to keep moving because the epoxy, I do have to move with the epoxy. I'm making sure the epoxy goes on the outside edge here. We don't want too much. You don't want it dripping down into the cup, but you can always wipe it away with a baby wipe, but you want to make sure you have enough all the way around that seal so it grabs and it seals that nice and shut, and holds it down. All right, so we're just going to make sure, just a little bit around, make sure we got it. There we go. Okay. I'm feeling pretty confident. It's going to be a solid one. Okay. Now we're going to screw on our bottom. And you will have some squish out. That's okay. You kind of want a little squish out. That means you got enough. The squish out on the side, you can see like the little bubbles that come out. That means you got a good amount of epoxy. And you can use a paper towel or a baby wipe. I'm going to use a baby wipe. I like the baby wipes with the epoxy better. And you're just going to wipe that out. Wipe it away from the cup. Right, you want to do that right away. If you let it sit, those bubbles will become permanent. All right, so wipe that out and rock and roll. All right, there we go. We're going to let this sit for 72 hours, and we will be back for the next step.
All right, guys, we've got this all taped up. The reason I tape it just below the line here is because if there's an air bubble, we're going to cover that with glitter. So when it goes upright and the air bubble would normally show along this edge, we are going to cover up that with glitter, and so that you don't ever really see an air bubble when it's sitting upright or this way. So we're going to tape this off. We're going to spray paint it pink and get our Beauregard and put some fun little glitters on there. So I'm going to take it outside and get it spray painted.
All right, guys, I've been getting pretty close. We've got Beauregard ready to go. He is ready to shake on. Oh, look at the parchment paper somewhere under there to catch him. I don't want to waste any glitter. I usually have my pre-folded parchments, but, you know, COVID-19, and I happened to just destroy my last ones, so we don't have any. And so I'm just making my own folded. I'm folding my own parchment. That's how desperate we're getting over here. All right, here we go. We're just going to dip our finger in, and we're going to add this just like the hang method, kind of to the edge of this cup. The trimmer is kind of superfluous at this point. We're just going to be rotating the cup and just dabbing on this epoxy. It takes very little. This has been a very, very popular cup in the group. I've been teaching this a lot on lives. And this is just a way for people to go ahead and be able to watch it and rewind it and watch it and rewind it and catch all the tips and tricks that I do. As you saw, I definitely taped lower down so that if there is an air pocket, you don't see it. It's hidden behind all the glitter we're about to apply. I've done just a very, very light base paint coat. I'm not too concerned. We're going to do a couple layers of glitter. So for now what we're doing is we're just adding just a little bit of epoxy to get it sticky, and so that we can quickly, easily add the glitter. There we go. Now baby wipe. Wipe off my hands. You have one little dip. You don't want the glitter sticking to that. Okay, so now we're going to pour Beauregard. He's a big chunky boy. I'm going to tip up my primer. We're going to pour him right down over there. And I'll go ahead and just pour him on there. Oh, there's some kind of little contaminant. We'll grab that off. Oh, fell off anyway. It's a little dark piece. It looks like a dark green. Maybe got mixed into my Beauregard as I was messing with him here. All right. Okay, now we'll go ahead and do the top. Like I said, we'll probably end up doing a couple layers of Beauregard to get good coverage. And what we'll just do is do another layer of basically hang method. We're just letting the turner do the work of holding the cup and spinning it. Right. There we go. Okay, hold it to the side. Top it off. Okay, we're going to pull this to the side. I'm going to leave that to the side. I'm going to pull up the little contaminants from that glitter. And now we're going to pull the tape. You guys got to see the final reveal. Let's see. It's going to be starting right here. Well, that didn't start well, did it? There we go. So we're going to pull this tape off to do the reveal in the middle. Trash. There it is. Let's keep it going. And again, you can do any color you want. It's all preference of whether you want to go peach, pink, green. Like I said, in my group, we've been doing all different colors. I showed you guys in the beginning the purple one, I believe. I don't know. I can't keep track of what I do on my lives and what I'm doing here for this tutorial. So maybe I did that on the live. I don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, my Facebook group, I go live in my Facebook group and I teach in my Facebook group different techniques. So this was one of them. I've done quite a few because they've been very popular. And there we go. We're going to pull the tape off the bottom. We will retape again before we add the next layer. But for now, we want a nice clean line. Then what I also do is I run my finger along this top edge. And that makes it to where I get a nice smooth edge off the top. I don't have to try to worry about sanding that down later. Just kind of tapping down some of the glitters, the big pieces of glitter that are sticking out. You want to make sure that this is easy to cover with epoxy. Ta-da! All right, so we're going to let this just hang out, do its thing. We're probably going to let it sit overnight, and we'll come back and add another layer of glitter tomorrow. All right, guys, see you soon.
All right, guys, there it is. Beautiful. What we did was we taped it off with the electrical tape. We did a little sanding where we needed to get some nice smooth edges. We added the final coating, a nice thick coating of the epoxy, and got that seal in there. And now this thing is gorgeous and ready for its new home. I hope you guys learned something new on this one. It's really, really fun. This has been super popular in my Facebook group. I hope this helps you guys with the step-by-step on how to do this. Again, you can get these tumblers on our website, and I will have that all linked in the description below. All right, guys, see you on the next tutorial. Bye, guys.